Welcome to Lesson 1-5, Basic Exponent Properties. Today's learning target is I can multiply a monomial and a monomial, and a monomial by a binomial by applying exponent properties. Exponent properties are going to play a huge role in Algebra 2, so it's very important that we are familiar with them and know how to use them fluently. It's one of those things that we should sort of just do instinctually after a while, all right? So exponents at their most basic just represent repeated multiplication. So whenever you hear the word exponent, I just want you to think of multiplying all the time. The way they combine or don't combine is dictated by this simple premise. So the quick rule for multiplying things that contain exponents are multiply your coefficients, which are the numbers attached to your variable, or your bases, and then add the exponents, or only add the exponents for terms that have the same base. So for instance, if I have an x and a y, I'm not going to add my exponents. I'm just going to leave it as an x and leave it as a y. All right, so let's find the products of the following monomials when they're multiplied by another monomial. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do the first one using expanded form and then show you the shortcut. So if I have 5x squared, that's really 5 times x times x. And then I'm multiplying it by 3, and then I have x to the 6th. I have x 6 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now I multiply my numbers. So 5 and 3 gives me 15. And now I count my x's. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I have x to the 8th. And that's my final answer. So if you look at that, 5 times 3 is 15, and then 2 plus 6 is 8. So that is all you're doing for exponent properties. So here, I have negative 2x, and it's really raised to the first, and then I have negative 6x to the fourth. So let's think about this. I do negative 2 times negative 6, and that's 12, and then x to the first times x to the fourth. Well, what's 1 plus 4? It's x to the 5th. So this just becomes 12 x to the 5th. And that's your final answer. Now let's look at the next one. 3 halves x to the 4th times 6x to the 10th. So I'm going to use my calculator because I'm not that great with fractions in my head. So I'm going to do alpha y equal enter. Ooh, that's an add. How do I get rid of that? Got rid of it. Okay, so now I'm going to do alpha y equal enter 3 over, alpha y equal enter 3 over 2 times 6. I think it's 4. No, it's 9, I think. Yep, it's 9. So 9, and then 4 plus 10 is 14. So I get 9x to the 14th. And that's your final answer. Now in D, I have 4x to the third squared. So what that means is I have 4x to the third 2 times. So I have 4x to the third times 4x to the third. So I multiply my coefficients. What's 4 times 4? It's 16. And then I have an x, and I add my exponents. What's 3 plus 3? 6. So my final answer is 16x to the 6th. Now let's make things a little interesting. I have 4x third y squared times 5xy to the 5th. Now, we're not saying that this 5 goes with my x. We're saying this 5 goes with my y. So I'm going to put in 1 with my x. So whenever you don't see something, just put a 1. I multiply my coefficients. 4 times 5 is 20. Now add my x's. So 3 plus 1 is 4. So I have 20x to the 4th. And then I have y squared times y to the 5th. And that's a 7. So y squared and y to the 5th makes y to the 7th because 2 plus 5 is 7. Now in F, I have negative 2x to the 7th, y to the 3rd, times negative 4x squared y to the 6th. Multiply your coefficients. Negative 2 times negative 4 is a positive 8. Multiply your x's. 7 plus 2 is 9. And then 3 plus 6 is also 9. So I get y to the 9th. So my final answer is 8x to the 9th, y to the 9th. Now in G, I have 1/2 xy times 5 halves x squared y to the 5th. Same rule, put the 1's in. 1/2 times 5/2. Type it in your calculator. You should get 5/4. Now deal with your x's. 1 plus 2 is 3. And deal with your y's. 1 plus 5 is 6. So my final answer is 5/4 x to the third y to the 6th. And that's how you multiply two monomials together. Now what we're going to do is we're going to learn how to multiply a monomial by a binomial and a trinomial, and it's the exact same procedure, but we just use distribution. So in our first example, we have 2x times 5x plus 3. So I'm always doing the coefficients. So 2x times 5x. 2 times 5 is 10. X times x, add those exponents, so I get x squared. 2x times 3, on the other hand, 2 times 3 is 6, so I just get a 6x. So my final answer would just be 10x squared plus 6x. In the next one, we have 5x to the third times 2x squared minus 3x plus 6. I do my distribution. You don't have to show your work like we did before, but if you want to, you can. 5 times 2 is 10. X to the third times x squared, I get an x to the 5th. Now I have 5x to the third times negative 3x, so that becomes a negative 15x, and 3 plus 1 is 4, so I have x to the 4th. Now 5x to the third times a positive 6, well, 5 times 6 is 30, so it just becomes a 30x to the third. And that's your final answer. Now let's look at the next one. Negative 7x squared times x squared minus 2x plus 3. This is really a 1x squared. We do our distribution. Negative 7 times 1 is negative 7. And then I add my exponents. 2 plus 2 is 4, so I have negative 7x to the 4th. Now negative 7x squared times negative 2x. Negative 7 times negative 2 is a positive 14. And then x squared times x becomes a x to the third. Now negative 7x squared times 3 becomes a minus 21x squared. And this is your final answer. Now let's go to the trickier ones, where there's really not many numbers, just variables. So in this one, we have xy squared times x squared minus y squared. Do the distribution. So I'm going to actually show this work out. So xy squared times x squared, this is really x to the first. So x to the first times x squared is really x to the third, and I still have my y squared. Now I do xy squared times negative y squared. So this negative is going to carry, and then I just rewrite it as negative 1x to the first, and y squared times y squared is y to the 4th, because 2 plus 2 is 4. So this really becomes x to the third y squared minus, you don't have to write the 1, you can just write x y to the 4th. And that's your final answer. Now in E, for our last example of the day, we still do our distribution. So 3 times 2 is 6, x to the 4th, y to the 5th, because you're adding those exponents. And now I have 3x squared times xy squared, so 3 times 1 is 3. X squared times x to the first is x to the third. Y to the 4th times y squared is y to the 6th. And then 3x squared y to the 4th times negative 4 gives me a negative 12. X squared just comes along for the ride. And then y to the 4th times y to the 3rd is y to the 7th. And that's my final answer. So that is how you distribute a monomial to an expression that contains more than another monomial, so like a binomial, a trinomial, or even a polynomial. And that's it for today. Tomorrow we're going to do some practice with the skills we've been learning over the course of this unit. Have a great day.